Who doesn't like a good sale? I don't know anybody that doesn't like a good sale. I was driving by one of my favorite antique shops. A lot of times I can't afford anything there. Everything is priced pretty spot on. See this sign that says 75% off? You just never see that 75 number. I feel like it's a lot of 10s, it's a lot of 15s. Maybe on a good day there's like a 30% off, but 75 is sort of next level. They just have stuff scattered all on the outside. I waste no time. I am starting to go through things already, and on the very first shelf that I look at, I see this incredible weather station. This is from a company called Angelus, and you guys probably know them because they're pretty famous for their watches. They have been around since the 1800s, but they became super famous in the 1930s because they invented the world's smallest 8-day watch movement. And the really crazy thing is it's still the world's smallest 8-day watch movement. So there hasn't been a lot of progress in that area of watchmaking. But the other really cool thing that they started doing in the 1930s were these really incredible weather stations. And you could get like travel versions that would fold up and you could put in your suitcase, and then wherever you were traveling, you'd always have this little thing you could kind of unfold and check the weather and check the temperature. And it was sort of like what we do with our iPhones, but you would have this like giant weather station that kind of unfolded. This particular one is from the 1950s. You immediately can feel the weight. It's made out of solid brass, and it still spins perfectly, and everything looks really great on it. Immediately what I notice is the price is $165, and that's about what these things go for. If I get really lucky, maybe I could sell it for like $200, but at 75% off, I can totally grab this because that brings my price right around $40, which is perfect. And it just spins like a little dream, because that's what dreams do. Here you have your clock, you have your hydrometer, you have your barometer, you've got your thermometer, and then the top has a compass, so it's got a pretty cool nautical vibe to it. It looks like it was used as sort of like a gift for some event that was happening in the 1950s. That's kind of cool because it also kind of dates the piece, which is great. So then I turn around and there's a table with this glass tray and a bunch of jewelry on it. Now, I didn't see any jewelry that really interests me, but I'm definitely interested in this blue tray. These things are so hard to find, you guys. Original Art Deco blue glass trays like this are nearly impossible to come by, and people love these things. They made old radios with this blue glass on the front. They have clocks with the blue glass on them. They make lamps with this blue glass. This particular one, I think somebody would love to use as just a tray for a table, just like what they were using it here for. And it's a great size. It's not priced. When I asked them, they only wanted $3 for it. It's definitely an older mirror. The reason that these are so scarce and so hard to find is the way that they got the coloring, I think, had a lot of toxic chemicals in it back in the day, so they stopped making them, and now there's just not that many of them around. So at this point, like, I didn't know that it wasn't a store-wide 75% off sale. So I walk in, I'll take that, I'll take 3 of those, 2 of those. And they were like, "Sir, do you have money for all of this stuff?" "Oh, do you know who you're talking to? It's 75% off." "Sir, no, that was just outside." "Thank you so much. I'm just gonna find the bathroom." And I start kind of like putting everything away quietly and super embarrassed. And then they tell me that there's like another section in the back from the same vendor that's also trying to liquidate, and that's also 75% off, and that might be more my speed. And there was some cool stuff back there, so I have to show you guys the things that I found. One of the first things I found was this vintage Japanese lacquered fish box. Now, I actually love these, and you can find them in a lot of different materials. So they make them in wood, they make them in porcelain. I've had a couple of them in the porcelain, and you can also find really old ones with wood and lacquered on the top, and they can be really, really valuable if you can find one of the older ones. This particular one, I don't actually think is very old. They have it priced around $150, which would bring my price to around $37, which is perfect for where I would need this to be in order to get it, because I think realistically, I could probably sell this for like $150 to $175. And if you can find one of the older ones, one of the old wooden ones, or one of the really old vintage lacquered ones, those can go for $400 or $500. I love how it has like the red lacquered, and then they have the black detailing in it. Kind of makes it look a little bit older. Some of them actually have like abalone shell inlaid eyes, which is super cool. And then they just kind of got lazy on the back. Didn't feel like painting the back, but it's still very cool, and I still really, really like this. And then the inside is just a box. I don't know what you'd put in here. It just sits on a table like this, and it just looks like a fish that's flopped itself out of the ocean and landed on your table, and then you can open it up and put things inside of it. So the next thing that I see in this 75% off section is this insane carved moose antler. Now, I already really like carvings like this. Anything that's handmade like this, I'm kind of obsessed with. They have this priced kind of high. It's at $195. I'm gonna pick it up and see if I can recognize any artist signatures. And sure enough, this one is signed by Tom Cooper. And Tom Cooper's a very well-known Alaskan sculptor that carves all kinds of really amazing things out of antlers and horns and all kinds of really different mediums. But very, very cool stuff. He does a lot of landscapes and wildlife scenes, and this particular one is very cool because it already has the wooden base attached, and it's got this really amazing sculpture of an eagle right in the middle. It's definitely not gonna be on the larger end of some of the stuff that he does. He does a lot of really small things as well, and he does a lot of really big things. You guys should see some of these insane moose antler carvings that he does out of like giant moose antlers. They are really, really incredible. There's the eagle, and it's just kind of like carved out of this hollowed out section of this antler. You can spot his stuff fairly easily because you can see there it's just signed with his name and it's dated right there on the back. So with this being $195, that brings my price to below $50, which is perfect for where I would need this to be in order to get it. I'm kind of like finishing up in the 75% off section, and I'm like, oh gosh, after this I've got to start paying full price for things. It makes it very, very hard to then step back into the real world of paying full price for things, but I have to readjust what I'm doing, readjust the way I'm thinking, and actually it did pretty well, even if paying full price for certain ththings. There was a moment where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. One of the first things I saw was this giant double parking meter. Now, you guys know I love parking meters, and they're so expensive to ship because they're so heavy and they're so big, and this is a double parking meter, so it's doubly heavy and doubly expensive to ship, which I just don't even know if I want to embark on that journey right now in my life. Some of these are not that valuable, honestly, and I would probably just be buying it more because I liked it, which is the wrong reason to get it. I really liked it, but I ended up just leaving it there. You guys, look at this! And this is one of those things that I'm like, ugh, I've never seen one. I need to have this in my life. They want like $199 for it. 30% off, but I also really, really like this. I don't know. What this is it's actually an antique kendo suit, and kendo is a Japanese tradition, which it's sort of like a mixture of karate and fencing. They've got a whole suit that you would have to wear, and it's gonna come with this amazing breastplate, and it's gonna have a helmet. It's similar to what you might recognize as a fencing helmet with just a bunch of holes in it so that you don't get stabbed in the face. I was super excited to find this because this is a tradition that's been going on since the 1600s, so you can actually find some very cool and very old pieces like this, and some of the older armor pieces are gonna be incredibly valuable. And I couldn't help myself! I had to get it. This breastplate, you guys, so it just like goes like this. How cool is this? Not a complete set, unfortunately. It's missing the helmet. The helmet's like the coolest part, and then it would have had a wooden sword. So the inside is just all of these like bamboo shoots, and then this is all like super old leather, and you can kind of see how old that is. Urgh! I'm too big for it though, but it's all good. So I'm walking around, I have this new suit I'm super excited about, and I see this porcelain figurine sitting on a shelf. It's good quality, you can tell right away. So I pick it up and I notice there's a maker's mark on the bottom, and they have it priced at $75, which is kind of high for just a porcelain figurine. They have it labeled male dancer, so I don't think they actually know what this is, but this is actually a heron figurine. Those of you guys that are familiar with heron know that it's super expensive. They have some really, really amazing dinnerware and figurines and statues, and this is a really, really good size for a heron piece. If you look at all of heron's marks throughout history, they generally, for the most part, are always gonna have the company name. They're all going to say heron right on the maker's mark. But for whatever reason, there was this short period of time in between the 50s and 60s where they just took the name off. just took the name off, no name. It doesn't say Heron, it just has this interesting maker's mark on it. It probably made it really difficult to tell who made this for the person selling it. This is probably worth anywhere from $150 to $175, so I'm actually probably gonna get this. This is definitely not their most popular style, but it's still a really, really good price for a Heron figurine. He's clearly having a great day. Here is the maker's mark. This is the maker's mark that they used during this time period that has no wording on it whatsoever. If anybody knows why they changed their mark for that time period to just like remove the company name, I would be super interested to find out. Walking through this area, they've got this glass case, and I noticed that there is a teapot inside, and it's just like this chintz design, which it can go both ways. Some companies, this chintz pattern can be worth a lot of money, and then in other companies it's not. But this particular one is a James Sadler teapot. And if you can find any of James Sadler's chintz designed porcelain, it can be pretty valuable. And they did a lot of different things in this. So they have plates, and they have cups, and they have teapots. This particular teapot, they're only asking $45 for. I think realistically, it's probably worth $150 to $200, maybe even a little bit more. So I'm for sure gonna get this, and I definitely don't mind paying full price for something like that. It's a very, very good deal for this. So the next thing that I found was very, very cool. This particular one doesn't look that old, but in traditional Japanese homes, they would have what's called an irori. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but it's basically a fire pit that's right in the center of the house, and you would use it for cooking, and you would have a kettle that would go over this fire pit. It would be on this pulley system so that you could lower and raise it as you needed, and the way that you would help control where this sat on the fire was with a counterweight made out of really heavy, dense wood shaped like a fish. And that's exactly what this is. And this particular one is really cool. It's got really great detailing on it, and they're very, very collectible, especially the older ones. I don't think this one's super old, and it's not super heavy, but they're only asking $29 for it, and I just really love it for what it is, and I'm definitely okay with paying full price for something like this. I actually want to hear from you guys of a time that you got super lucky with something that you found on sale. Maybe like at a thrift shop, maybe some insane find that was on sale that you could not believe that it sat there and made it through all of the time that it would take to sell it full price, to sell it half off, and then you get it for some crazy, insane, ridiculous price. I'm honestly shocked that all of the stuff that I got was still there by the time it was at 75% off. I just think that that's crazy. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, make sure you do it now so you don't miss future episodes. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.